If I hurt your feelings, feeling good's expensive. I do it all the time. I don't really mind. Sitting in the traffic, listening to music. I don't really mind. Skipping all the bad shit, days into your Buick. I don't really mind. In the wrong direction, missing all the exits. So say what's on your mind, 'cause I don't wanna know. You'd be a lot happier if I were blonde. Everybody's thinking and everybody's saying it too. Just give me my money, my time, my new salon. 2 cents and confidence will get it ready for you. My neighbor Gus can do it for pretty cheap. He used to do bad drugs, but now he's gone clean. My mama's gonna be so proud of me that I'm gonna pop off like a wild one. When my Norma Jean turn the light on, I can't sleep till my hair's all bleached. Now all I need to keep me clean's peroxide and false lashes and a house in Calabasas. Whatever gets me there the fastest, like a wild one. You'd be a lot sluttier if you were blonde. You'll kiss somebody and they're gonna get mad at you. Sticking out like a sore thumb at the bar. If I bet people would all take the shots, everybody's gonna ask how much it costs. Not much, but I got the hookup. My neighbor Gus can do it for pretty cheap. He used to do bad drugs, but now he's gone clean. My mama's gonna be so proud of me that I'm gonna pop off like a wild one. Waiting by Norma Jean, turn the light on. I can't sleep till my hair's all bleached. Now all I need to keep me clean's peroxide and false lashes and a house in Calabasas. Whatever gets me there the fastest, like a wild one. I know it won't be embarrassing for too much longer. If I am someone new who's having more fun. When bye Norma Jean, turn the light on. I can't sleep till my hair's all bleached. Now all I need to keep me clean's peroxide and false lashes and a house in Calabasas. Whatever gets me there the fastest, like a wild one. Like a wild one. Bye Norma Jean. Ooh, give me my house in Calabasas. Whatever gets me there the fastest, like a wild one. You lost your lipstick, now it's only liner. Must have been from all of that cider. And I ought to kiss you now to give you moisturizer. And when I fixed it, you gave me a smile, just as brave as any other. Why no, I know I couldn't do it if my mouth's drier. How do I say that I hate you stay if I told you that I miss you? Wish you did let me kiss you. Now I'm going back to where we met, to drink minimum at the bitter end. Think we broke even though we should have been. How much money can I spend and I don't miss you? Wish you did let me kiss you again. I can't feel my lips say, would you help me find them? It must have happened when I lost my wine and my mind, and I guess I must must have gone and crossed the line, man. How did I say that hey, where'd you stay? If I told you that I miss you, wish you didn't let me kiss you. Now I'm going back to where we met, to the drink minimum at the bitter end. Think we broke even when we should have been. How much money can I spend? I don't miss you, wish you didn't let me kiss you again. To the drink minimum at the bitter end. Eyes wide shut, leave me when you get dressed. How much money can I spend? I don't miss you, wish you didn't let me kiss you again. Small hands, baby hairs, going wild. I was unprepared. I was unprepared. You sent shivers down my spine, felt it in your knees and I felt it in mine. Night after night. 2 drink minimum at the bitter end. Think we broke even though we should have been. How much money can I spend? I don't miss you, wish you didn't let me kiss you again. 2 drink minimum at the bitter end. Eyes wide shut, leave me when you get dressed. How much money can I spend? I don't.
Diane here, host of The Local Show with Raffaella. Good to have you in the studio.
So cool to be here. Thanks for having me.
It was so great. Your 3-song performance, doing great music with your band. And, well, I want to get into the fact that you're from Manhattan. You've lived in California, too. And I want to know how you feel about Minneapolis right now. How's the,
Totally.
It's different.
It's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that it's the mini apple, came from the Big Apple, but I love it. It's cold, but I feel like with cold weather, you just kind of like adapt to it regardless of the severity. And it gets cold in New York too. So
Yeah.
I feel like anytime I ever mention the fact that I live in Minneapolis now, everybody talks about how they're like, oh man, the tundra. And I'm like, totally. but I I like seasons and I like my new winter jacket. So, but yeah,
It was a cool winter jacket.
Oh my God.
The one you're
thank you
wearing
so much.
today.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you. I literally have been living here for 2.5 years and I have not had a winter jacket.
Oh, it's about time.
It is about time. And it really helps as it turns out.
Yeah. It feels special to call you local now because
Cool.
you bring a new energy to our scene that
Oh, whoa.
I would definitely consider it's different. It's like, I can't think of anyone who sounds, I'm not trying to like make some grandiose statement, but you have a very unique voice and sound that's different from artists in our area.
Cool.
And I want to know more about how it's feeling integrating into our scene.
Totally.
I know it obviously helps. You're dating, your partner is Jake Lupin of Hippocampus,
Yeah.
and I know that probably helps. But
Totally.
yeah,
I think
talk to us about that.
having Jake is sort of like my liaison to like introduce me to so many wonderful people here was super beneficial. Just like being a transplant and immediately feeling included in this community of just like incredible musicians and coming from the coast, it's just like, it's very different. Like the sounds are different and the priorities are different and like the goals are different. Mm-hmm. And I feel like here, it's the first time I really felt like there was a community around music in a way that was proactive. Everybody really supports one another, like collaborating, going to shows, just knowing, like actually listening to music. I feel like that's like suddenly very rare for people like sit down and like actually listen to music. People really do that here. So that's awesome. But yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, 7th Street is like such a good example of whenever I think of the Minneapolis community, I just go straight to that like little room, and it's like it feels huge when you're in it because it also transforms with every different artist. Anyway, it's been really lovely and cathartic and grounding, and I can see how I'm like just like with my practice and my prep, it's so different. Like it makes me wish that I focused more on like the art of piano, or like really like honing in on an instrument. Like that's and I've been practicing guitar, which I'm so bad at. But I felt inspired to do that here because I was like,
awesome.
oh damn, I want to be like my friends. Everybody knows how to play guitar. Yeah, rambling, but that's
so cool. Your craft at singing is outstanding.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I want to get into that, but I was going to say, not long ago, the Current profiled you, Cecilia Johnson, my former colleague at the Current.
She rocks.
Wrote a great story, and you guys touched on some pretty like heavier subjects, and one was that you ended up switching managers because you had a disagreement about them. Saying you shouldn't have your boyfriend produce your record, and you're like, whatever. And from our perspective as a listener, and looking in and seeing how you're shining, it's like seems like it was a great idea. Tell me a little bit about that.
Totally. So I would just feel really sad a lot of the time and feel really like hopeless, and it felt like my options were limited in terms of like how to progress, and I would like get off the phone in tears. And when you really are like, I really cared about the people I used to work with, so I would make excuses a lot, but luckily I had people in my life that were like, hey, like you shouldn't cry after you get off of the phone, like you should feel encouraged. And I just think like when it was just like an incompatible way of going about building a career, but I feel really lucky to have had like loved ones kind of reality check me, but that shit was hard. Can I say shit?
I mean, it's fine. We can,
You can bleep it.
Bleep it.
Okay, that's good. I've never been bleeped before, so I
have such a potty mouth too.
Thank God.
I'm on radio, and I still like find ways.
Yeah, you gotta.
This happens.
Yeah, you're always on the. What is that? I'm horrible at idioms. I start them as if I know them.
Yep.
You're on the job, I guess, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have no idea what I'm saying. But yeah, with the management, that it was really. When your job is also like your livelihood and you feel like you're not doing a good job at it, you just get really mentally ill and like hopeless. And I think that Minneapolis both kind of like, it forced me to confront that because there were no distractions, like, and it also like helped me see what was important to me, which was like organic growth through like live music and just like getting better at my craft and like being as patient and careful as possible with every decision, be it like a live show or like a synth sound.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, and it seems like Jake is such a supporting, loving partner too. Like he's like I mean, when I interviewed him, he was just like, "Oh my God, she's so amazing."
He's I mean, working on this music with him was crazy. I've never seen anybody care so much about anything, and I was like, I feel like I should care as much as you care. You definitely care way more than me. But yeah, he's taught me so much about artistic integrity and just how to be kind to myself too. Seeing somebody be kind to you is just like a really nice reminder that you're also allowed to be kind to yourself.
Yeah. I also read that you spent some time in California. Was it California? You studied at Columbia for French, lit, and philosophy.
Yeah.
I'm like...
So that was in New York, but that
was in New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was in California for a year before that.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'm curious how that might intersect with your music or the
Totally.
studies or like your interest in that. I'm like, are you like a big Proust fan?
Oh my God. I've read a Proust book, meaning
Yeah.
I've read like probably like 25% of it. And I was
Because
screaming.
it's all run-on sentences,
like
basically.
it's like fucking, sorry. Oh my God. It's like, here I go. Pot of New York. What can I say? Just kidding. It's just my own problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, the run-on sentences with Proust and like every single detail that's ever existed in anything he has to include. But I studied a lot of poetry, which I really loved,
Cool.
like Baudelaire and Rimbaud, and I also studied a lot of French cinema, and I think that was definitely really inspiring with like the like aesthetics that I kind of am more inclined to like embrace, and the way of thinking when you like I think when you study language that's not your own, it kind of stretches your mind to think about words in different ways. So I think studying French was definitely, it's sort of like how you take math in school. It's like we're not using math anymore, but it's somehow like helping us survive through reality.
Yeah.
Like it helped us. We don't really know how, but we know that it did because there's a reason why every single student is learning how to do, calculus.
Exactly.
So that's how I kind of feel about French. It like stretched my creative mind in all the right ways to sort of help me see language in a new way.
I definitely hear that in your writing. And yeah, that's, I think, one of the, if I were to describe your music, I'm like, well, it's like pop music with really beautiful singing, smart writing.
Thanks.
And then it interjects humor and lightheartedness and a little bit of comedy. And that's one of my favorite things about it, because I love the
cool.
goofy element, because I can relate to that too.
Totally.
Like, it's just kind of like not taking yourself too seriously.
Yeah. And when you think about it, you're just like on a stage and you're just singing songs.
Yeah.
And people are listening, and it's just such a silly profession. But it's also like the most meaningful thing.
It is. Tell me more about that. Where was this inspiration to come, just to be a little bit goofy on stage, but
Totally.
also like have sing serious subjects?
Totally. Well, I think like taking yourself seriously is just like inherently terrifying.
Agreed.
So it's definitely like a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
The humor. And I do that in like my life, just resort to that. But I also think it's nice. Catharsis exists in humor and sadness and, like scary movies, or you laugh, and it's just, it should always kind of be there in some iteration. So yeah, I try to be funny, but not too funny. Sometimes I'll like really get on the nose, and Jake will be like, you know what, maybe we should think of a different lyric. And I'm like, why? And like 20 minutes later, I'm like, yay, so you were very much right about that. But yeah, it's a balance for sure.
I get it. I know I can relate to that, because sometimes my writing is so comedic, because I'm just like, I have some of those feelings of sadness as well. And so I like balance it out with that. But but I don't know. I like it. I think it makes the music accessible in some ways too.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Oh, that's so cool to hear.
yeah, for sure. Your record is Act 1 is out, and then Act 2 is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your decision to do a part 1 and then a part 2. And I hear that part 1, well, I've listened to it, and it's got the more joyful, and then I'm hearing that part 2 is more of the serious.
Totally. Yeah.
Tell me about the impetus to present it in that way.
Totally. I didn't really know how to deliver the project until we finished it and we wrote Grown Up. That was the last song. And then I kind of saw it. It just kind of like happened that way. Where I was like, I think somebody said like, oh, your music is so like narrative driven. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. And I studied acting growing up, and I love the theater. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to honor that part of myself. And plays are always really happy, and then they get really sad in Act 2 and dark. And I mean, Oklahoma, when Judd dies, that's so sad and dark. Anyway, it's not as dark as Oklahoma, but yeah, it definitely it gets more earnest in the second half. And I think, like I was saying, like there's still humor in it, but I think I'm so afraid of that earnestness, and so it felt really dark to me in a way. But yeah, it just felt like it made sense, and
Cool.
I liked the the sort of like paradoxical paradigm of like, you know, like light and dark and happy and sad. And I feel like that kind of like makes something complete. So yeah, just two pieces that are somehow contrasting, coming together and creating one entity that hopefully allows for some emotions in between the two contrasts.
Yeah. I keep thinking about the song Bardot in my head because that was the first song I heard by you.
Gotcha.
And it has this French feel to it.
Yeah.
And Bardot is a French word, right?
Yeah, she's Bridget Bardot is
Bridget Bardot,
Yeah,
okay.
she was like the va va voom.
Oh, the va va voom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's like a really sophisticated thing about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a little more background on that song because I love it, and that's
Oh,
the first track
cool.
that I heard by you that I was like, this
Oh,
is so
sweet.
good.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I recorded that one with this guy, Ido, who's an awesome producer. And we wrote that together in 2018, I think. And yeah, I had been dating this dude at the time who I call it rom-com syndrome, where they like kind of like mystify you in a way where you are no longer a human being. And at first you're like, oh my God, I'm on this amazing pedestal and the view is awesome and I feel beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I'm trapped. Get me down from here.
Yeah.
You don't treat me like human in ways that I would want you to. So I was like talking to him about, and I had also been studying French literature, which is basically all about like the mystification of women and men just being really frustrated with their inability to understand what it's like to live as a woman. And so they write, you know, essays and books and psychoanalytical theories on what it's like to be a woman. And anyway, so I was talking to this person about studying that, and he was like looking at me like, as I was talking, and I was like, okay, like, do you have anything else I can say? You could say back to what I said, though.
Yeah.
So it's just, I guess it's sort of about that, like, well, if you're gonna fall in love with this like version of me that isn't real, like, you're always gonna kind of be in agony because that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Wow, what a good way to put that. I'm thinking of, gosh, have you ever seen the movie? What is that Wes Anderson movie that takes place?
The Royal Tenenbaums.
Not that one, but the You Look Like Marlene Dietrich.
Oh yeah, what is that?
And you dance like Gigi Jamais.
Yes, what is that
the
one?
most? It's Peter Sarzet or something
Oh
like that.
yeah. I know what you're
Where
talking
did you
about.
go to my lovely is the name of the
Okay,
song,
okay.
and that reminds exactly what I think this
Totally
reminds me of. This is overly romanticized version
Yes.
of what a woman is.
Yeah, totally. So
yeah.
sometimes you're just like, fuck it. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Bleep
It's all
it.
good. Yep.
I'm just gonna lean into that then.
Yeah.
And like I'll dance for you
Yep.
because I don't want you to leave me yet. But just so you know,
it's fun.
because it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not gonna last.
That's very beautifully put. Yeah. Yes, men take note. It's a thing.
We are human.
We are all humans. Actually, I could probably take that note too, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, totally. Your music's amazing. I'm a fan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It really means so much
Yeah.
to hear that. So thank you for saying that.
Pleasure. Yeah, truly.
I'm a fan of yours too.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah,
That's really sweet.
you're gonna own this place one day. Anyway,
You heard it first, y'all. From Raffaella. Anything else you'd like to add that we might not have covered? Like plugs for future? Yeah.
Oh no. I feel like I should say something, but I just have no clue what to say. Stream Hank, stream Ryan, stream Raffaella. Baby Boys is a great band. And that's it, folks. I think.
Sweet.
Sorry.
This is great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure.